and welcome to another Smaulgld podcast. Today is the 23rd of September 2019, and tonight's topic: Bakkt bombs, silver spikes, and altcoins crash in unison. We're going to cover the Bakkt launch today, which came after about a year after the first announcement, and it came and went without much of it was pretty much a bomb. Only 71 contracts traded, one contract equaling one Bitcoin for the October 19th contract, and there's one contract for the November 19th. Now, the price of Bitcoin did fall from about 10,000, around 10,000 flat, down to about 9,680, 9,700 at the current recording of this, around 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So the idea that Bakkt was going to bring on institutions and it was going to boost the price of Bitcoin, at least today, has proven not to be the case. Now, there's a number of explanations for this, and some of them are plausible, some of them are maybe not plausible. It's all speculation at this point. I would doubt that Bakkt would launch something after a year, anticipating that they would only get the equivalent of about $710,000 worth of trading volume. It could be a function of the first day. There's not much trading, that the participants in the Bakkt system have loaded their Bitcoin into their Melon storage unit, and they're waiting to see how trading develops. It's hard to say. It's something we're going to have to keep an eye on, but a very non-eventful launch. Now, I would have thought that this might have been like an IPO, where they at least would want to show a certain amount of volume, if not a price rise. They got a drop in the price of Bitcoin of about 3% on the day, which I would say was, it happens in Bitcoin. It goes up 3 or 4%. It's not a big day. It's not a strange day. But by the same token, it's the day that Bakkt opened and the price fell. And essentially, we can't blame it on Bakkt because they only had trading of about $700,000. So a very inauspicious start to Bakkt. Now, we know when the CME group launched its Bitcoin futures, it was the same thing. First day was very little trading, and recently they've had record trading. So I wouldn't write it off yet. It's just possible that this is how they start, and they will want to grow into trading volume as they test out the systems, and the same thing with the participants as they come online. Now, the question is, will they come online? That's the big question. I would have expected, many expected, that more would have at least been active the first day. It doesn't really look like there was much activity at all. Now, let's look at the Bitcoin price today. Basically just drifted lower all day. There's your Bitcoin price. Opened up a little over 10,000 over the last 24 hours here. And right now it's at about 97 and change, 97 and a quarter. Not a big day, not a bad day, not a good day, but not much of a day. And after all the hype after a year, you might have expected more. Silver, big day today. Gold pushed itself again above 1,500, but silver managed to do a lot better. Let's take a look at the gold price on Bakkt opening day. Nice day for gold, up about $10, up 0.69%, closing close to the high at 1522. You know my thesis on gold, that if the price is over 1,500 and stays over 1,500 and sustains a bull market, then that dormant monetary value of silver will be ignited, and then your unsustainable gold-silver ratio will start to narrow. And that's exactly what's happening. Remember, at the beginning of the year, I did predict a silver price set to skyrocket between $20 and $22 when the price was around $15 an ounce at the end of last year, on the understanding that everything that's happening, gold might get itself past that $1,375 mark. If it did, it would climb into the $1,500, and that could give it a shot towards $1,600 if that all happened. Then there was no reason why silver could not break free. Now, silver's been as high as $19.50 so far this year, and today it had a very big day, a very strong day, up 71 cents, almost 4%, and closed at about 1864 again, close to the highs of the day. Now, let's take a look at the curious trading activity in the altcoins. First, I was tracking Litecoin, and about an hour or so ago, Litecoin just took a dive. It was trading around $72, and it went all the way down to $65. Boom. Like, within no time at all, just fell off the table. And, of course, you'd say to yourself, well, that's Litecoin. Litecoin, whatever reason, some trader got cold feet or whatever, wanted to trade Litecoin. Happens in all the cryptocurrencies. They spike up, they spike down all the time. Difference here was it wasn't tracking Bitcoin at all. Bitcoin was just drifting lower. It wasn't doing this big drop. In fact, Litecoin was, if you can see on the chart here, was actually moving higher from the low 70s all the way to about 73 and a half. And then it drifted a little bit lower. Then it fell off the table all the way down to the mid 60s. And then I started to look at the other altcoins, the non-Bitcoin. And I said, let me see what happened to XRP today. Wouldn't you know it, right at the same time, look at that, boom, same thing, down went XRP or Ripple. Now, Ripple and Litecoin do not have the same investor profile. I'm sure there's some that hold Litecoin and some that hold Ripple and some that hold both and some that hold one and some that hold the other. But for the most part, they're not the same investor, and even if they are, you don't necessarily, if you and I both hold gold and silver, and you and I not talking to each other, but we both decide to sell silver, doesn't mean we're deciding to sell gold. We're both gold and silver holders. We can sell one and not the other. It's not very common that, for the most part, that both of us are going to own gold and silver, and we're both going to sell gold and silver, and we're going to sell gold and silver at the same time. That's what happened with Litecoin and Ripple. But it gets curiouser and curiouser. Let's take a look what happened to Ethereum. Now, Ethereum also has a different investor profile. There are people who like Ethereum and don't like any of the Bitcoin type currencies. They're a big fan of Ethereum. Well, same thing happened at the same time. Boom. Down goes Ethereum. Now you got Ethereum, you got Ripple, you got Litecoin all collapsing at the same time within the same period of time. And again, they don't all have, it's not all the same investor. It's not one investor who's doing this that somehow pushes the button. I think it's very strange that Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple would all fall at the same time and Bitcoin really not have the same dramatic drop. It seems to be an altcoin phenomenon. So I took a look at a few other coins on Bakkt day. And let's take a look at Monero. Monero's got a different profile. It's a privacy coin. People who buy Monero don't necessarily buy Litecoin. They certainly probably don't buy XRP. They probably don't buy Ethereum. But boom, same thing, same time, same type of drop for Monero. Even Bcash. Bcash got hammered. Now, Bcash's hammering was even greater. There you go. You see that big line down. Now you can get your conspiracy hat and your tinfoil theory hats out that this was all designed to tell investors that altcoins are no good, especially Bcash, that the real Bitcoin is Bitcoin, not Bitcoin Core or any of that kind of stuff, and that Bcash, no. So, I don't know. I just don't think that Bitcoin Cash, Monero, XRP, Ethereum, Litecoin all have the same reason to drop at the same time in the same intensity all at once, and then not Bitcoin. Even so, I don't see how, putting Bitcoin out of the equation, why they would all, this is on across all exchanges, this is an amalgamation here, but if you looked at Coinbase or any of the others, they also had the same type of instantaneous drop at the same time. So when the SEC says that they're concerned that they don't want to put together a Bitcoin ETF, they don't want to approve the applications for Bitcoin ETFs because they're concerned about manipulation, one can understand that. However, we see manipulation in all markets. We see manipulation in gold and silver, this type of for no reason drops and so on, and they have gold and silver ETFs. So I'm not convinced by that argument. I'm convinced that there is manipulation in all markets though, and this is the type of thing where your eyebrow raises, where you see all altcoins fall at the same time. And again, algorithmic trading, I'm not sure why Bcash falls at the same time as Litecoin, which falls at the same time as XRP, which falls at the same time as Monero, which falls at the same time as Ethereum, and Bitcoin doesn't fall. Even if Bitcoin did fall, why would they all fall at the same time? Again, they're not all the same investor. They don't all have the same investor concerns. There isn't a fund that's so large that contains just these coins that it sold all of them at the same time. Very, very odd. And of course, even if there would still be independent markets in each of them where, let's say, a fund was selling off equal amounts of these five altcoins. Well, there might be a market that's robust for Ethereum and, let's say, Litecoin, but not the other three, which would cause that decline not to be as exacerbated. But that's not the case. Each of them had a big drop. Don't know what it means. I've noticed this before. They all drop at once, and they all drop, and they're not the same. They are not the same type of coin. And what else for today? I think that's about it. Well, I tried to go live on YouTube, and all of a sudden it says you can't. And so I don't know what's going on. You know, I would prefer not to be on YouTube. I'll probably post this on YouTube after I post it on BitChute on Smaulgld. But a lot of people, they like to stay on YouTube. They like to complain about YouTube, but they don't want to do anything about getting off of YouTube, which is a bit frustrating. But that's where we are. All right, now, one other interesting note. The other day, if you remember, I was talking about silver nickels, and I told you how I'd found one once, and then I went I had gone to the bank and got a roll of nickels and actually found one there as well. And I was telling you that I had done that about 5 years ago, so I decided to do it again, and lo and behold, I found another silver nickel. Well, this time I went back the other day, over the weekend, and I doubled down. I went back and got 4 rolls of nickels, and I found another one. But that's not the big news, because now it seems to be old hat. Every time I go to the store, to the bank, I managed to pull myself up a silver nickel, it seems. But this time I found a silver nickel, but I also found a ratty old buffalo nickel, which, I don't think that's exciting because they're not very good looking, and it was worn out. So I wasn't really surprised that I found a coin of that nature. But look at this. As I was flipping through the third roll, I found that, and that was shiny, and I just couldn't believe my eyes. I thought, oh, maybe the other side is going to be like, oh, scratched out and worn out. But look at that. That looks uncirculated. I don't think that is a circulated coin. It was shinier than the nickels, the other nickels that were in the coin roll, the people roll. That's when you get a set of nickels that aren't bankrolled, but they're brought in by somebody. In this particular roll, there weren't other old coins. I've had that before, where you get a roll of coins where you can tell it was somebody who just had nickels lying around for decades and decided finally to get rid of them and roll them and put them into a roll. But in this particular case, it seemed like this was a one-off. It was not a roll of nickels that was old, and it was just shining. Now let's look at the front of that coin. I was very surprised. This is amazing. The front was even more shiny. Look at this. And again, no wear, no tear on the coin. 1930. I looked it up. And by the way, that red mark there on this feather, that isn't on the coin. That somehow is an imperfection in the photo that I took. So I looked it up. The coin is worth like I don't know if you can get this money for it, but online it says it's worth $30 to $70. I can imagine a collector might want a coin like that. But very interesting. I think I don't know. I'm tempted to do this all the time now because I've been extremely lucky in this endeavor of going and getting a roll of nickels and flipping through them and actually getting now 3 silver nickels and 2 buffalo nickels during this time period. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. And I don't know about live streaming anymore. I don't know about YouTube anymore. So if you want to follow Smaulgld, you're going to have to go over to BitChute, smaulgld.com, because YouTube I get cut off too. Even when the live stream works, it gets cut in, it cuts out. And, well, that's where we are. Thank you very much.